What if I told you that every argument you've ever had, every betrayal you've ever felt, every moment of love, pain, rejection, or connection in your life was never about them? It was always about you. Not because you're to blame, but because karma doesn't care who started it. Karma only mirrors what you bring. You think they hurt you and walked away? No, karma used them to reflect something in you. Your fear, your anger, your need for validation, your path. You're not unlucky in love. You're not cursed in friendships. You're just repeating the same karmic story until you decide to write a new one. Because in relationships, karma is not punishment. It's a teacher. And the lesson is simple. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Before you point the finger, pause. Before you blame them for not loving you right, not respecting you, not staying loyal, ask yourself something deeper. What energy did I bring into this relationship? Because karma doesn't start out there. It starts in here. The greatest illusion we live under is this: if they change, everything will get better. But karma doesn't operate on change from the outside in. Karma works from the inside out. It isn't about fixing them. It's about facing you. When your heart is full of chaos, you will unconsciously attract people who match that vibration. Not because you deserve pain, but because your inner world writes the script for who enters your life. And the roles they play are chosen by one director, your unresolved self. You see every toxic friend, every manipulative partner, every distant parent. They all reveal something deeper than surface level pain. They reflect how much of yourself you've yet to heal. Not because you're broken, no, but because your relationships are your mirror, not your medicine. Let's get brutally honest. Have you ever begged someone to stay who repeatedly showed you they couldn't love you properly? Have you tolerated disrespect, made excuses, or twisted your boundaries just to keep the peace? That wasn't their power. That was your wound speaking. Because the way you let others treat you is karma's way of showing how you treat yourself. We think karma is about revenge, that if someone hurts us, life will pay them back. But real karma doesn't play like that. Real karma whispers, what inside you accepted this? Why did you silence your needs? What part of your past is making this feel familiar? Until we answer those questions, we don't grow, we repeat. We jump from one relationship to another, changing names, but keeping the same emotional storyline. Why? Because the lesson hasn't been learned yet. And karma is the most patient teacher in the universe. It will keep handing you the same exam until you rewrite your answers. But here's the powerful truth. Once you begin to choose yourself, the game changes. When you start saying no to disrespect, yes to boundaries, no to manipulation, and yes to self-worth, karma doesn't punish, it rewards. It begins to align you with people who mirror your growth instead of your wounds. So if you want to change your relationships, stop asking others to transform. Start asking yourself, what version of me attracted this? What did I believe I deserved when I let this in? Because when you heal the inner war, the outer world stops sending battles. And when you finally show up for yourself, karma will match that energy with people who do the same. Karma in relationships always begins with self. Not because you're to blame for what happened, but because you have the power to decide what happens next. And that power? It's called self-respect. And it's the first step to breaking karmic cycles forever. We spend so much time trying to decode other people, why they left, why they lied, why they hurt us, but rarely do we pause to ask the most important question: what was I carrying within me that allowed this dynamic to unfold? Karma in relationships doesn't begin when someone wrongs you. It begins long before that, in the quiet spaces of your self-worth, your beliefs, your emotional wounds, and your boundaries. The truth is, you don't attract what you deserve. You attract what you are energetically aligned with. If your inner world is filled with unresolved pain, fear of abandonment, or a desperate hunger to be loved at any cost, then karma will not punish you for it, but it will reflect it through the people who show up in your life. Not to destroy you, but to awaken you. The person who ghosts you is a karmic mirror of your fear of being forgotten. The one who emotionally manipulates you is often a reflection of how you've manipulated yourself into silence and smallness just to feel safe. These aren't accidents, they are assignments. Karma is not about blame, but about awareness. It gently, but sometimes painfully asks, how are you showing up for yourself behind closed doors? Because the universe can only respond to the energy you emit. The way you treat yourself in solitude becomes the standard of how others treat you in relationship. When you tolerate disrespect, when you accept inconsistency, when you chase love that must be begged for, you are teaching karma what to echo back. And echo it does, not to shame you, but to free you. To wake you up to the truth that every relationship you experience is a response to your own vibration. That's why healing is not a luxury. It's your karmic reset. The moment you begin to choose yourself, to honor your truth, to guard your peace, to walk away from what feels wrong, even if it's familiar, that's the moment karma starts aligning you with people who reflect your wholeness, not your wounds. You don't need revenge. You need clarity. You don't need validation. You need boundaries. You don't need them to apologize. You need to apologize to yourself for ignoring your own intuition. Karma is always listening, not to your words, but to your patterns. So if you keep experiencing the same kind of heartbreak with different faces, stop asking why they keep hurting you and start asking why you keep allowing it. Because healing doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you attract. When you raise your standards, karma responds with people who can meet them. When you stop betraying yourself for the sake of keeping others, karma stops sending people who betray you. The power has never been in their hands. It's been in yours, buried beneath years of conditioning, people-pleasing, and pain. But the moment you reclaim it is the moment you stop repeating and start transforming. Karma in relationships begins with self, because the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every connection that follows. You can change your number, block the names, move to another city, switch up your look, reinvent your story, but no matter how far you run, there is one thing that always follows you, your energy. Because karma isn't chasing you like a shadow, it's matching you like a mirror. And in relationships, that truth is inescapable. You cannot outrun the frequency you live in, the thoughts you nurture in secret, the beliefs you carry about love, trust, and your own worth. People often think karma is about what you do to others, but karma is deeper. It responds to who you are when no one is watching. You might speak softly, smile warmly, and say all the right words. But if your heart is heavy with resentment, if your love is rooted in control, if your kindness is a mask hiding a need for validation, karma will speak louder than any performance. And in relationships, your energy introduces you long before your words ever do. You attract what feels familiar to your nervous system, not what looks good on paper. That's why two people can look like a perfect match, but feel like a battlefield. Because their energies are repeating a war that began long ago inside themselves. You can't fake alignment. You can't manipulate vibration. You can't script sincerity. The universe reads your patterns, not your promises. So if you keep finding yourself in one-sided relationships, constantly giving while receiving crumbs, or feeling drained by people who take more than they give, you're not cursed. You're being called to examine the energy you're putting out into the world, the invisible contract you're signing every time you sacrifice yourself to feel loved, because energy is a language, and karma is fluent in it. If your love is transactional, you will attract people who treat connection like currency. If you walk into relationships fearing abandonment, you will pull in partners who confirm that fear, not because you deserve the pain, but because your energy is broadcasting a signal and karma is just responding. The good news is energy is not a life sentence. You can shift it. You can transform it. You can choose to release the bitterness, the fear, the need to prove your worth through another person's presence. You can begin to radiate from a place of wholeness, not hunger. And when you do, everything around you shifts. People who once drained you fall away. Situations that once repeated dissolve. The chaos you once called love starts to feel like noise you no longer resonate with. Because the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You don't get the relationship you dream about, you get the one that matches your frequency. So if your world feels out of sync, look inward. Not with shame, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what part of me is still bleeding into my choices? What part of me is still seeking externally what I haven't yet given myself internally? Because the moment you clean up your energy is the moment karma stops testing and starts rewarding. You can run from people, you can escape places, but you cannot outrun the energy you bring. And until you face it, you'll keep finding it in everyone you meet. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every moment of presence or absence in someone's life. It's all a seed, and the universe is the soil that never forgets what you planted. Relationships are not built in grand gestures, but in the daily, seemingly insignificant acts that echo louder than declarations of love. The tone you use, the timing of your presence, the quality of your listening, the respect you show, the boundaries you set or ignore. These are not just habits, they are seeds of karma, and what you plant, you will inevitably harvest. You cannot plant dishonesty and expect trust. You cannot water a relationship with neglect and expect it to bloom in loyalty. You cannot sow silence in place of communication and expect clarity to grow. The law is simple. Every action, no matter how subtle, sends a message. And karma listens with perfect memory. This is not about fear, it's about responsibility. Because when you become conscious of the seeds you're planting in your relationships, you stop blaming others for the weeds. You realize that bitterness doesn't arrive overnight. It's the fruit of ignored needs and unspoken truths. You understand that connection doesn't wither from a single blow. It dies from the slow erosion of daily disregard. And most importantly, you accept that every moment is an opportunity to plant something better. Honesty instead of avoidance. Compassion instead of pretense. Because the harvest is always honest. It doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you build. You may think your kindness went unnoticed, your loyalty unappreciated, your patience taken for granted. But karma is not bound by immediate results. Some seeds take time. Some bloom in silence. Some break the surface only after a season of darkness. But they always grow. And if you're wondering why your relationships feel stuck, ask yourself what you've been consistently planting. Are you growing connection or resentment? Security or suspicion? Depth or distance? Every argument unresolved, every apology withheld, every truth avoided is a seed. Just as every healing conversation, every brave boundary, every act of genuine care is a seed. And karma is never biased. It grows both. The beauty is, even if you've planted pain before, you can choose again. You can till the soil of your soul, pull up what no longer serves, and begin anew. Because the future of your relationships doesn't depend on who hurt you, who left, who misunderstood. It depends on what you decide to plant today. So plant presence, plant truth, plant the kind of energy you want to be surrounded by. Because the universe does not ignore the garden you're growing in silence. It just waits until the time is right to show you what's been taking root. And when that time comes, don't be surprised by what blooms or what burns. Just remember, every action plants a seed, and the life you live is the garden you grew. If you've ever found yourself asking, why does this keep happening to me? Pause. Because that question is the very door karma has been patiently waiting for you to open. The truth is, repetition is not punishment, it's precision. Karma doesn't operate on chaos, It operates on curriculum, and until the lesson is learned, the test will repeat. Different names, same pain. Different faces, same betrayal. Different situations, same emotional spiral. Why? Because karma doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your awareness. It knows when you're running, when you're avoiding, when you're distracting yourself with noise instead of healing the wound. And so it brings the same patterns back, not to break you, but to break the illusion that someone else is the problem. Karma wants you to realize that you are the common denominator, not because you are to blame, but because you hold the key to the lock. That's why the same story keeps rewriting itself, until you rewrite the character you're playing in it. You're not cursed, you're called. Called to evolve, to wake up, to see the loop and choose differently this time. Maybe it's the same kind of relationship, charming at first, then controlling, or the same kind of friend, supportive in public, but competitive in private, or the same emotional outcome. Overgiving, underappreciated, and left empty. The lesson is not in what they did. The lesson is in what you allowed, tolerated, justified, or ignored. Repetition is karma's most loving act of force. It won't let you stay asleep. It will keep showing you what you need to face within yourself. Your fear of being alone, your addiction to chaos, your hunger for validation, your belief that love must hurt to be real. And until you confront those truths, you will keep attracting people who reflect them. But the moment you pause and ask, what is this pattern trying to teach me? You shift from victim to student, and that's when karma gets quiet. That's when the loop breaks. Because the test is never about the other person. It's about whether you'll finally choose yourself. Will you walk away this time? Will you speak your truth instead of shrinking? Will you believe that peace is your birthright, not a reward you have to earn through suffering? Karma is not here to punish your heart. It's here to train your soul. And it knows that you don't grow from being comfortable. You grow from being confronted. So the repetition isn't there to mock you. It's there to make you ready. Ready to stop repeating and start remembering who you really are beneath the pattern. Powerful, worthy, clear. The moment you make a new choice, a braver boundary, a deeper truth, a more self-respecting decision, you pass the test, and karma takes note, not with applause, but with transformation. The people who once triggered you lose their grip. The situations that once pulled you back no longer feel magnetic, because the cycle only survives when you forget your power. And the moment you remember it, repetition ends, and your real life begins. Love is often portrayed as a mask, a beautiful illusion we wear to hide our flaws, imperfections, and insecurities, presenting only the parts we want others to see. But true love is the exact opposite. It is a mirror, brutally honest and unfiltered, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we often try to deny or hide. When we look for love as a mask, we seek perfection, pretending to be someone we are not, hoping others won't see our shadows. But karma in relationships demands authenticity. It reveals who we really are beneath the surface. The people we connect with become mirrors to our deepest wounds, unresolved fears, and unhealed traumas. When love feels uncomfortable, challenging, or painful, it is often because the mirror is showing us parts of ourselves we have not yet embraced or healed. This reflection can be terrifying. The parts we keep hidden away, the patterns we repeat, the defenses we build to protect a vulnerable heart. But it is also the key to transformation. Relationships don't fail because love wasn't real. They fail because we tried to wear a mask instead of facing the mirror. They fail because we tried to wear a mask instead of facing the mirror. When you approach relationships with honesty, you invite growth. You stop blaming the other for your pain and start asking yourself what the relationship is revealing about you. Are you holding on to resentment? Are you afraid of being seen fully? Are you expecting someone else to fix what only you can heal? The mirror doesn't lie, and it doesn't sugarcoat. It shows you exactly where you need to grow, whether that's learning to set boundaries, forgiving yourself, or releasing toxic patterns. The mask, on the other hand, invites illusion and keeps you trapped in cycles of disappointment, confusion, and loneliness. When you finally remove the mask and accept the reflection, love ceases to be about control or perfection and becomes a powerful teacher that guides you toward your true self. Karma rewards those who dare to look honestly at their reflection, even when it's uncomfortable, because that courage breaks the cycle of repetition and opens the door to healing. The love you desire will never arrive fully formed from the outside. It must be cultivated from within, by embracing your whole self, light and shadow alike. So when your relationships challenge you, don't run from the discomfort. Don't hide behind a mask of perfection or denial. Instead, lean into the mirror, face the truth with courage, and allow love to transform you from the inside out. Because real love is not a mask to hide behind. It is the mirror that reveals your greatest potential for growth, healing, and freedom. In every relationship, the boundaries you set or fail to set send a clear message, not just to others, but to yourself, about what you value, what you respect, and ultimately, what you expect from life. Karma doesn't just reflect the energy you put out, it reflects the standards you uphold. When you tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or neglect, you are silently teaching the world and your own soul that these things are acceptable in your life. This is not about blame or weakness. It is about recognizing the power you hold in shaping your reality through your choices. Every time you let something slide that cuts at your dignity, you reinforce a pattern that karma will continue to bring back until you learn to stand firm. The universe isn't cruel, it's consistent. It's saying, if you allow this behavior from others, don't be surprised when it shows up again. And that's where the true power lies, not in controlling others, but in mastering your own boundaries. When you decide you will no longer tolerate less than you deserve, karma, it shifts because you have shifted. You teach yourself and the universe that your worth is non-negotiable. You show that your time, your heart, and your energy are precious and not to be squandered on those who don't see your value. This is how toxic cycles break, not by fighting against the other person, but by fighting for yourself, with clear lines drawn in the sand. You learn to say no when you need to walk away when it's time, and to demand respect without apology. It's not easy, especially if you've spent years bending, compromising, or shrinking to keep peace or gain approval. But the liberation you find when you stop tolerating pain disguised as love is profound. Suddenly, relationships begin to change because your energy has changed. You no longer attract those who drain you or diminish you. Instead, karma aligns you with connections that uplift, nourish, and respect your boundaries. This is the law in action. What you tolerate, you teach. If you accept betrayal, you teach karma to bring it again until you refuse it. If you accept dishonesty, you teach the universe that it's your new norm, and it will keep reflecting it until you choose differently. The moment you say enough is the moment the karmic cycle breaks and your life begins to reflect the respect you finally demanded for yourself. So be bold, be clear, be unapologetic about what you will and won't accept. Because in the realm of relationships and in the realm of karma, your boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They are gates that decide who gets to come in. And when you honor those gates, you honor yourself. And karma rewards that reverence with peace, respect, and true connection. Every moment you choose to be available, whether physically, emotionally, or mentally, you are essentially broadcasting a signal to the universe about what you accept and invite into your life. Your availability is not just about answering calls or showing up. It's a profound energetic currency that shapes your reality in relationships. Karma listens carefully to this signal and responds with perfect fidelity. When you are constantly available to others, especially when it comes at the expense of your own well-being, you teach karma that your energy is limitless, that your boundaries are porous, and that your value is negotiable. This doesn't mean you should shut people out or become cold. It means recognizing that your availability is a choice with consequences. Being endlessly available often invites people to take without giving, to rely without reciprocating, and to demand without appreciation. Over time, this creates a karmic pattern where your generosity becomes their entitlement and your presence becomes their expectation. And karma will reflect that back by bringing you relationships where your worth is overlooked, your efforts are ignored, and your needs are unmet. But when you start managing your availability with intention, when you say no without guilt, when you prioritize your own peace, and when you hold sacred the energy you share, you send a radically different message. You teach karma that your time and presence are valuable resources, that you deserve respect and reciprocity, and that you are the gatekeeper of your own energy. This subtle but powerful shift changes the relationships you attract. People begin to honor you more because you honor yourself more. The connections you cultivate become balanced, nourishing, and mutually uplifting, rather than draining or one-sided. Your availability creates your reality because it sets the stage for how others show up around you. It determines who feels welcomed and who feels pushed away. It signals what kind of love and respect you are willing to accept, and karma, being the perfect mirror of energy, adjusts accordingly. This is why some people feel like they're giving everything but getting nothing back. Their availability is boundless, but their boundaries are non-existent. Meanwhile, others who fiercely protect their energy attract relationships that fuel their growth and happiness. The power to choose your availability is the power to choose your relational destiny. So ask yourself, are you available out of obligation, fear, or habit? Or are you available from a place of self-love, clarity, and intention? Because the answer will reveal why your relationships either uplift you or deplete you. Remember, karma honors those who honor themselves first, and your availability is the gateway to that honor. Manage it wisely, and you will transform not only your relationships, but your entire life. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls meant to keep people out, but in reality, they are the clearest expression of how deeply you respect yourself and what you are willing to accept in your life and relationships. Karma doesn't just respond to what you tolerate, it responds to the energy you project through your boundaries, or the absence of them. When you fail to set boundaries, you send a subtle yet powerful message to the universe and those around you that your needs are negotiable, your limits are flexible, and your sense of self is unclear. This creates a karmic environment where others feel entitled to cross your lines, take your energy without regard, and treat your kindness as weakness. But boundaries are not about punishment or control. They are about clarity and protection. They tell the world and karma that you value your peace, your time, your emotions, and your worth, and that you expect the same in return. Without boundaries, relationships become chaotic, draining, and often toxic, because there is no framework to keep respect and love in balance. When you clearly communicate your limits, you are teaching karma what is sacred to you. You show that your heart is a garden, and only those who honor the rules of tending it are welcome to walk its paths. Setting boundaries takes courage, because it means risking discomfort, confrontation, and even rejection. But it is the most powerful act of self-love you can perform. It stops the cycle of pain caused by being too available, too forgiving, or too silent when you should speak up. Boundaries prevent resentment from building silently beneath the surface and turn relationships from battlegrounds into safe spaces. And karma rewards that courage by aligning you with people who honor your limits and value your presence authentically. When boundaries become your language, you no longer explain yourself endlessly or seek approval. You simply state your truth, and the universe respects that honesty. The freedom that comes from this is transformative. You stop wasting energy trying to fix others or prove your worth because you have already established it within yourself. Karma mirrors this strength back with relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and care. So if you find yourself repeatedly hurt, overlooked, or taken for granted, ask, where have I left my boundaries open? Where have I sacrificed my peace to avoid conflict? The answers will guide you to reclaim your power. Remember, boundaries aren't barriers. They are bridges to healthier, more fulfilling connections. They speak louder than words and set the tone for every interaction. When you honor your boundaries, you honor your soul, and karma answers that honor with the respect and love you deserve. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood and underestimated forces in the dance of karma and relationships. Many think it means forgetting or excusing hurt, but forgiveness is actually a powerful act of reclaiming your own freedom and breaking the cycle that binds you to past pain. Karma teaches us through the experiences we face, but it also offers a way out. The moment we choose forgiveness, holding on to anger, resentment, or grudges is like carrying a heavy chain that keeps you tethered to the very wounds and patterns that no longer serve you. When you refuse to forgive, you unintentionally prolong your suffering by feeding the energy of bitterness and keeping the karmic loop alive. Forgiveness is not about the other person's redemption. It is about your liberation. It is a courageous decision to release the toxic emotional debt that weighs on your heart, so you can heal, grow, and move forward with clarity and peace. In relationships, forgiveness is the key that opens the door to deeper understanding and compassion, not only for others, but for yourself. We all make mistakes. We all hurt and get hurt. But karma is patient. It doesn't rush your healing. It waits for your willingness to let go. When you forgive, you rewrite your story from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. You tell karma that your heart is ready to break free from the past's grip, and that you will no longer attract the same pain disguised in new faces or situations. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget boundaries or allow the same harm to happen again. It means you clear the emotional residue that clouds your judgment and peace. It means you learn the lesson without becoming its prisoner. This act creates space for new energy to flow into your life. Energy that welcomes healthier relationships, greater self-love, and a more profound sense of inner harmony. Karma honors forgiveness because it is the ultimate sign of mastery over your emotions and your story. It transforms wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. Forgiving is often the hardest step because it requires vulnerability and strength at once, but it is also the most transformative gift you can give yourself and the world around you. So, when you feel stuck in cycles of hurt or find yourself repeatedly facing the same challenges in your relationships, ask yourself if you are ready to forgive. Not for their sake, but for yours. Because until you do, karma will keep bringing those lessons back to teach you, not to punish you, but to guide you toward your highest self. Forgiveness frees your heart and ends the cycle, opening the door to a future where love is not burdened by the past, but empowered by the freedom to be fully present. There comes a pivotal moment in every relationship journey when you realize that your endless availability, your constant readiness to give, to listen, to sacrifice, has not brought you peace or respect, but exhaustion and imbalance. And this is the moment karma begins its most profound transformation. When you stop being available in ways that drain your energy or compromise your self-worth, everything changes. This is not about shutting people out or becoming cold. It is about reclaiming your power by choosing where, when, and with whom you share your precious time and energy. Karma recognizes this shift immediately, because it is a declaration that you are no longer willing to tolerate patterns that keep you stuck in cycles of pain, disappointment, or neglect. By withdrawing your constant availability, you interrupt the old scripts, the ones where you show up to fill gaps, fix problems, or hold space for others, while your own needs go unmet. This pause sends a powerful message to the universe. Your energy is sacred, your boundaries matter, and your worth is not up for negotiation. When you stop being available indiscriminately, you create space for genuine respect, reciprocity, and deeper connections to enter your life. People who truly value you will step up. Those who take you for granted will fall away. This natural sorting is a karmic blessing because it clears your relational field of toxicity and imbalance. It's not always easy. Sometimes you will face resistance, guilt, or loneliness, but this discomfort is the price of transformation. Karma honors your courage by realigning your relationships to better reflect your true value. Suddenly, you find yourself surrounded by people who show up with authenticity, respect your boundaries, and cherish your presence, not because you chase them, but because you have chosen yourself first. This shift also deepens your relationship with yourself. By stopping availability where it's not earned, you reinforce your self-respect and reclaim your inner peace. You stop confusing presence with obligation and start living intentionally, where every interaction is an exchange of energy that nourishes rather than depletes. Karma rewards this awakening with freedom. The freedom to live on your terms, to love without losing yourself, and to connect deeply without sacrificing your soul. So if you feel drained by relationships that take more than they give, ask yourself where you have been too available, too forgiving, or too silent. Then choose today to stop availability that diminishes you, because the moment you do, everything changes. Your energy, your relationships, your life. And karma responds with a new reality where your worth is honored, your boundaries respected, and your heart finally free. And so, as we stand at the edge of understanding, let us remember this truth with unwavering clarity. Every relationship, whether it heals or harms, builds or breaks, is a mirror, a lesson, and a reflection of what we bring into it. Karma is not fate, but a faithful echo, returning not what we wish, but what we live, what we allow, and what we believe we deserve. And when we finally begin to choose ourselves, to speak the language of boundaries, to release the weight of resentment, to love from a place of wholeness rather than need, and to guard our availability like sacred ground. Then and only then does everything begin to shift, for the universe rearranges itself to honor the soul that honors itself first. And in that sacred alignment, every relationship becomes not a burden, but a blessing, not a battlefield, but a mirror of our highest truth. This is the law of karma, and it is always listening.